Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about the New York case and it going first and the impacts that's going to have on people's perceptions of the various cases. Because there are a lot of commentators who are putting out the idea that it's bad that New York went first. And that is, for the most part, based on the idea that their case isn't the strongest. And the concern that is being expressed is that because maybe this one doesn't go the way people want it to, that it will undermine some of the other cases. So, the message that prompted this: what do you think about what is being said? The idea that Americans will see all the cases as witch hunts if the New York case fails. Should they have coordinated? First, let's answer that last question. Should they have coordinated? Absolutely not. If there was evidence that various prosecutors around the country actually coordinated their cases against Trump, that would actually look like a witch hunt, whether or not it actually was. The idea that they should have lined up or whatever, that's not actually a good idea. As far as the idea that New York going first is bad, it's based on a couple of theories that people have. First, the New York case is the weakest. And when it comes to that, I've expressed that based on what's publicly available, I think it's the weakest. However, we don't actually know what the evidence is. It's under seal. We don't know that it's the weakest. Based on what's publicly available, it looks like the weakest. However, what is publicly available is like 1% of what they have. So we don't actually know. Now, the other part of this is the idea that they shouldn't have gone first. Okay? That's the whole basis of the statement. That's based on the idea that the prosecutors in these cases are going to take turns. It is far more likely that this case in New York actually takes some time. And during that period, the other cases also move forward. It's not like they're going to hold off on indicting Trump in, let's say, Georgia, or the feds doing it or whatever, because he's looking at a case in New York. They're not going to take turns like that. They're each moving ahead at their own pace. It is entirely likely that before the New York case even goes to trial, that there are more indictments. And those cases may even move faster. Just because New York started first doesn't mean they're going to end first. And then the third reason people believe this is social media echo chambers. They're looking at those people who support Trump no matter what, and they're looking at the noise they're making online and saying, if this doesn't work, it's not going to convince those people. Yeah, it's not going to convince them anyway. The majority of Americans are not going to say, just because what New York didn't pan out, and again, this is assuming that it doesn't pan out, that all of the other ones won't either. They're not going to look at it as a totality. They're not going to look at it and say that one case has something to do with the other. Most Americans are far more understanding of how that works than the commentators are giving them credit for. I think there's a severe underestimation of the American electorate here. I don't believe that Americans are going to say that something that happened on the other side of the country is somehow undermined by what goes on in New York. I don't see that as a realistic concern. I think that's based off of the response from Trump loyalists. And understand, even if Trump is convicted in every single case that he's being investigated for, his loyalists are still going to support him. A lot of them will. Some, as more evidence comes out, it might influence their loyalty. But for the most part, those who at this point are still out there waving Trump flags and saying, no, it's them who are out to get him, I don't feel like much is going to change their mind, and I don't think that anything should be catered to try to shift them. The people that matter here are those who are undecided, those who don't have a strong opinion. Those are the people that matter. And I feel like those who have withheld judgment are not going to base their opinion of the Georgia case or the documents case on what happens in New York. I think it's a bad train of thought that originates with a pretty elitist attitude and assuming that those, us commoners can't understand that things aren't related. I think that the American electorate in general is a little bit smarter than that. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.